Okay, let's get started. So we're going to need this printout. You may be able to reuse them, but you're going to need this printout of P-22. And we're going to need these colors. They're listed on your supply sheet. And a pencil and 2 paintbrushes. So we've got this number 11 filbert and this number 3, it's also a filbert, but you could use a number 2 or number 4 detail brush. If you don't want to get filbert, because a lot of people don't have them, you could use a round brush with a thinner round brush. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is turn our picture over. You can still kind of see it. And notice how I'm laying the pencil kind of flat, and I'm not taking very long. I can go very quickly. This is not speeded up on your video. This is just how long it's taking. Maybe you go 3 or all 4 different directions, but you notice it's not, completely every bit of it covered. Okay, then we will turn that over, and we need a pen. We need a pen that is not, preferably not black or, going to blend in. And I'm going to show you we could either use this cardstock that is slick, and they're the same size, or if we do our bigger paper, we can cut it down. So see how this is a 9 by 12. If we do that and we cut 1 inch off, then these guys will match. So I'm going to make it 11 inches, chop that off, and these ones will match. So put it down here and line it up on the bottom. Okay, now I'm going to start with the eyes, and we're going to go around them with the pen. Note for the kids that the eyes are not, the shape of the outside of the eyes is not perfectly round. And then you can get those inside shapes as well. It's more like 2 parentheses. And here's some inner shapes we're going to get. Then let's do the nose. The reason I start with the eyes and the nose is if we forget something, those kind of keep us grounded. We kind of know where everything else is, and they're easily defined by the kids. So the next thing I see, I'm going to start, even though it's not a definite line, you're going to teach the kids to see the difference between the nose and the muzzle. And we're going to come in here. I am pushing just a little bit hard, and then we'll get his chin, and we'll get his ears. Here's another ear. And we'll get the top of his head and the sides of his face. And this is kind of a point you're going to have to make. Take that line all the way off the paper. So these are his shoulders. Let's take them all the way off the paper so that we don't lose that. You might want to include these little cheekbone lines, and let's fill in his nostrils a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to finish off the separation between his ears and his head a little bit. And now let's look. So it's very pale, but I can definitely see it. So just for my own, so I can really remember what I'm doing, I'll go over it just a little bit. You don't have to do this step, especially with the littler kids, but to me it's nice to be able to see it just a little more clearly. Okay, and his nose. almost looks like a heart. Here's some nostrils. And there was a line that went down that I didn't transfer very well. There we go. Okay, so now we've got the basics, and let's get started with our paint. Okay, so I'm going to use the smaller brush and take a little bit of green and a little bit of yellow off the side, a little more yellow, till I get kind of a limey green. Wow, I should have started with yellow and only added a teeny dot of green. Okay, I think I got it now. So I'm going to start with his eyes again. There's something about having the eyes done that helps you keep oriented for the rest of the picture. And it's okay if you fill in where the pupil will go, because we will go over that with black, no problem. Okay, so there's that. And then for his nose, I think we can use the bigger brush. So we're gonna do pink with a little bit of white. It's nice, by the way, if kids have their own palette, so they can use that. And we will go in and catch his nose with the pink. And now we're going to think about areas that are closer to us versus further away. So we want to think about highlights and sunshine, and where sun would hit and where highlights would be. And so there's not like a right place, but I think closer to the viewer is a place that you might want a lighter color. Pink's one of our lighter colors. So I'm going to add a little in here. Notice with this filbert brush, you can turn it sideways to get smaller areas. So I'm going to get some of those areas with the pink. I like a little pink on his chin. You could also use yellow in these spots. It doesn't have to be pink. And maybe a little pink on the edge of an ear, because that's a spot that is lighter and more sun would hit, where the middle of his ear is probably kind of a little dark hole with some hair in it. Okay, so we've got a bit of pink here. Let's see, maybe a little bit more right there. Okay, now I'm going to make a paler yellow, not a bright yellow, but I'm going to take some yellow off this other side and a little white, and I'm going to mix that up to make a more pale yellow. And let's find some other spots that might be lighter colors on our picture. Okay, so if I look at him, I can see it's pretty light in here, it's light here, it's little bits of light on the top of his eyes. So I think I'm gonna add some of this will be light. We'll make it yellow, a little under the eye as well, on this side, a little around the pink there. This is not a hard and fast thing, as I think you understand. It's just you're trying to show areas that are lighter and darker by representing them with lighter and darker colors. So here we go with that. I see some light in here. If I look at my reference image, see how light it is right there. And I'm going to add a little to the top of his head. That kind of shows, you know, usually if you're out in the sun, the top of your head is going to look a little lighter. So I'm gonna contour it. I don't want straight boxes or he will look kind of robotic. So I think that's pretty good for some of my yellow. And now we'll go on to maybe a medium color. Let's see. Let's go to orange for our next color. I should have had a paper towel around here. So I'm gonna wipe that off and get a little bit of white. Take down my orange. Okay, now I'm going to do the top of his head. Keeping in mind, I like rounded strokes that help us to see contour. If we fill in things in rectangles and squares, he will look a little less like a rounded animate object, and he'll look more like a robot, which is not my goal. Okay. Now I can go for some straight orange and start having a few more shadows in here. And I like maybe some orange on this shoulder. Seems like a good spot for some orange. Okay, now our next color that we're going to get into is, let's use some of the pink full strength instead of diluted. So maybe on this side we have our fuchsia. And I feel like the middle is just asking for bright yellow. But that's me. Yours might ask for something else. Now on this canvas, you can kind of see, it's really cool how you can see the colors layer. If you use the other paper, you'll get a different effect. And neither one is good or bad necessarily, but they're just different. You'll notice it's different to work in these two medium. All right, I'm gonna smooth that out a little bit. Now, his nose, if you look at the reference image, the hair on his nose is darker. And so I'm gonna try to capture some of that with a little of this purple, but I'm gonna take it down a notch with some white. Okay, so here we come on his nose. Oh, I want it a little darker. Okay, because I don't want it to blend with his nose. His little pink nose needs to be separate. Well, I need to finish the rest of his face, and I'm going to go back and use some more of our, here, I'm going to blend this, and then I'm going to use some more of our other bright colors. This seems very light here, so I'm going to use some more of our light orange. Oh, I got some on his eyeball. Gonna have to fix his eyeball. And I'll go with some pale yellow. Down here and here. This cheek, I'm gonna go a little more of our orange color, but not as dark as the orange underneath it, because we want to keep it separated. Those parts of his face. And I'll go for a little pink here. Okay, so we've still got his ears, and his ears I feel like have a little more darkness to them because that's where the little ear hole is. I don't know the proper term for that. I should look it up. Maybe use a little of those, both those colors in there. Okay, and I'm gonna give it a little bit of, there's a little bit of hair that kind of comes in there. We'll do that. Okay, now I think we have our guy fully painted. If you see any areas that you want to touch up a little bit, I'm going to add a little orange here. Separate that out. Okay, so now we're going to separate this guy from his background with our purple. And depending how you turn this brush, you can get a wider or a narrower line. So I'm going to come along. You have to dip fairly frequently with the canvas kind of paper. You don't have to dip nearly as frequently with the other kind of paper. And this step just kind of separates him out, gives him a royal glow that I kind of love for him. He is the king of the city, right? May not be the king of the jungle, that's the lion, but he is a mountain lion. He's the king of Hollywood. So notice most of these colors are warm colors. Now we're going to switch and set him off by using some cool colors. Now purple could be considered a cool color, but most of these we're looking at some warm colors in here. So I'm going to clean off my brush and I'm going to do my background, and those just broad strokes. For littler kids, or if you want, you can let the paint dry a little bit, talk to them a little bit before they do this last step so that they don't smear into their purple paint. Also, unlike what I did, you could start on the edges and move this way. That way the paint has a few more minutes to dry. Luckily, this acrylic paint dries quite quickly. And if you wanted green and yellow, you know, if you add a little yellow to your green, you could get a limey look and add a little interest, but totally up to you. All right. I don't want him to be too symmetrical, so I kind of came across the top. But now I'm going to switch to this blue. And I didn't even bother cleaning my brush because I feel like that's going to be fine. If I turn the brush sideways like this, I can get these areas, be a little more detailed, a little more careful. Okay, now he looks a little almost done, but he's not done. Let's put our brush in our water. There we go, got some water. And now we're gonna switch to our little brush back. I think I still have some green on there. Let's fix that. Okay, so we've got this. We're gonna go in black. And the first thing we're going to do is eyes. We're going to add more definition. If you look at this, you can see there's quite a lot of mascara looking or eyeliner on our guy. So let's make sure that we adequately outline his eyes. I'm going to turn it this way because I can reach it better. Okay, now I can do his pupils. Okay, now let's go around his nose. And let's get back his nostrils. Let's hope to find our guy. Okay. I'm gonna go back with my other brush, this bigger brush, and I'm gonna put a little more of this purple under his chin, because that's an area that would be shadowed. It's this area under his chin. And now I'm going to use my little brush again, clean it off, dry it off, and I'm going for white. And we're going to make some whiskers. Notice that his whiskers curve down. So we're going to curve. Ta-da! Oh, and maybe a little shine on his nose.